The 1960s was a transformative decade for American cars, but not all models left a lasting impression. From the notoriously unreliable Edsel to the underwhelming Rambler, these vehicles are best left in the past. Join us as we explore the 13 worst American cars of the 1960s that nobody wants back. Number 13. 1960 Chrysler Imperial. In the 1960s, Chrysler introduced the Imperial to compete with luxury brands like Cadillac and Lincoln. Despite its opulent features, the Imperial struggled to measure up against its rivals. One major issue was its outdated design. While other cars were embracing sleek and modern looks, the Imperial clung to a boxy, blocky shape that seemed old-fashioned. This design was partly because it was used on a body-on-frame construction, which it continued to use until 1967. Whereas most Chrysler models had already transitioned to a unit body construction. Additionally, the Imperial fell behind in technological advancements. Competitors were adding new features and innovations, but the Imperial lacked these updates, making it less attractive to consumers who wanted the latest in car technology. Although the Imperial boasted luxurious interiors and powerful engines, these features were not enough to make up for its other deficiencies. The Imperial was in production from 1955 to 1975, but it faced its toughest challenges during the 1960s. Sales were disappointing, and the car never managed to gain a significant share of the luxury market. By the end of the decade, it was clear that the Imperial could not keep up with its more modern and technologically advanced competitors. In 1975, Chrysler decided to discontinue the Imperial, ending its attempt to establish itself as a leading luxury brand. Number 12. 1960 Studebaker Lark. The Studebaker Lark, first introduced in 1959, quickly gained popularity for its compact size and affordability. At a time when most cars were large and expensive, the Lark offered a refreshing alternative that many buyers appreciated. Its small size made it easy to maneuver and park, which was a significant advantage in urban areas. However, as the 1960s continued, the Lark's initial success began to fade. One major reason for this was its outdated design. While other car manufacturers were constantly refreshing their models with sleek modern looks, the Lark stuck to a boxy and old-fashioned appearance. This made it less attractive to consumers who were increasingly drawn to stylish and contemporary cars. Another issue was the Lark's lack of innovation. As new technologies became standard in many vehicles, such as power steering, power brakes, and automatic transmissions, the Lark failed to keep up. These features were either unavailable or less advanced in the Lark compared to its competitors. Younger buyers in particular were looking for the latest advancements and found the Lark lacking. By the early 60s, sales of the Lark began to drop significantly. In 1960, Studebaker sold over 128,000 Larks. However, by 1961, sales had fallen to about 67,000. Despite attempts to revive the model with new features and marketing efforts, the Lark couldn't recapture its earlier success. By 1964, Studebaker decided to discontinue the Lark, marking the end of its run in the automotive market. Number 11. 1960 Plymouth Valir. In the 1960s, the Plymouth Valir and Dodge Aspen were introduced to replace the popular Plymouth Valiant and Dodge Dart. At first, these new models were praised for their innovative design and even won Motor Trend's Car of the Year award. However, their initial success did not last long. The Valir and Aspen quickly earned a poor reputation because of numerous quality control issues. One of the biggest problems was rust. These cars were infamous for rusting prematurely, even in areas that usually don't experience much rust. This made them look old and worn out much sooner than other cars. Additionally, the Valir and Aspen faced frequent recalls for a variety of issues, including faulty seatbelt tensioners, fuel system problems, and steering column defects. These recalls not only hurt the car's reputation, but also caused a lot of inconvenience for their owners. To make matters worse, the cars had a tendency to stall unexpectedly, which was both frustrating and dangerous. Despite their promising start, Valir and Aspen couldn't overcome these problems. Sales declined sharply, and by the early 80s, it was clear that these models had failed to meet expectations. Production of the Plymouth Valir and Dodge Aspen was discontinued in 1980. Number 10. 1960 Chevrolet Corvair. The Chevrolet Corvair, made from 1960 to 1969, is remembered for its unusual design and safety issues. This small car was different from most American cars of its time because it had a rear-engine air-cooled layout. This was quite innovative but also controversial. Consumer advocate Ralph Nader criticized the Corvair heavily in his book, Unsafe at Any Speed. Nader pointed out that the Corvair had serious handling problems, particularly its tendency to oversteer, making it hard to control. The Corvair's problems went beyond just handling. It was also known for being prone to rollovers and other safety issues, partly because it lacked many modern safety features that are standard in today's cars. The criticism from Nader's book hurt the Corvair's reputation and hurt its sales. Despite these problems, the Corvair had some dedicated fans who liked its unique design and engineering. However, due to ongoing safety concerns and a lack of broad consumer appeal, the Corvair was discontinued in 1969. Its legacy is mixed. While it was an ambitious attempt at innovation, its safety issues and the resulting bad press have led many to view it as a car best left in the past. Number 9. 1961 Chrysler Newport. The Chrysler Newport, produced from 1961 to 1964, was designed to be a big, luxurious car that offered comfort and style at a more affordable price. It was meant to appeal to people who wanted a full-size sedan without breaking the bank. Despite this, the Newport quickly showed it had some significant flaws. Although it had a large V8 engine, the Newport didn't deliver impressive power or speed. Its performance was underwhelming, and it didn't handle well, making driving less enjoyable compared to other cars in its class. The car's design was another major issue. While it was spacious and comfortable, it lacked the elegant and attractive look that buyers expected from a premium model. The interior was roomy, but didn't have the luxurious feel that the name Newport suggested. This made it hard for Newport to stand out in a crowded market. The Newport faced tough competition in the early 60s. Other car makers were producing vehicles that were better designed and offered superior performance and style. This made it difficult for Newport to attract attention and keep its place in the market. By 1964, the Chrysler Newport was discontinued. Its lack of impressive performance, unremarkable design, and inability to compete with better models led to its downfall. Number 8. 1961 Buick Skylark. The Buick Skylark, introduced by Buick from 1961 to 1963, was an attempt to attract younger buyers with a stylish and affordable car. Buick aimed to offer something that looked modern and appealed to a new generation of drivers. However, the Skylark didn't quite hit the mark. One major issue was its bland styling. While other cars of the early 60s had bold and eye-catching designs, the Skylark's appearance was rather plain. It didn't have any standout features that made it memorable or different from the rest, which made it hard for the Skylark to attract attention in a market where looks mattered a lot. Besides its unremarkable design, the Skylark lacked distinctive features. It was basically a fancier version of the Buick Special, but without any innovative or unique qualities that set it apart. This made it difficult for the Skylark to stand out from other models, both within Buick's range and among competing brands. In terms of performance, the Skylark had a V8 engine, which provided decent power, but it wasn't particularly exciting to drive. The car's handling and overall driving experience were average, failing to impress those who were looking for a more thrilling ride. Because of these issues, the Buick Skylark didn't capture the interest of many buyers and struggled in the market. By 1963, just 3 years after its introduction, it was discontinued. Number 7. 1961 Oldsmobile F85. The Oldsmobile F85 was introduced by General Motors in 1961 as a more affordable luxury car. It was designed to offer a touch of elegance without the high price tag of other luxury vehicles. However, the F85 quickly faced several problems that affected its popularity. One major issue with the F85 was its poor build quality. Owners often reported frequent reliability problems, including engine troubles and issues with the car's electrical system. These problems made the F85 less dependable compared to other cars in its class, frustrating many who had hoped for a reliable vehicle. The design of the F85 also fell short of expectations. Although it was intended to be stylish, the car ended up looking bland and unremarkable. It lacked the distinctive features that could have made it stand out in the crowded automotive market of the early 60s. This lack of visual appeal made it hard for the F85 to attract attention from potential buyers. In terms of performance, the F85 had a small V8 engine that provided decent power, but it wasn't thrilling to drive. The car's handling and overall driving dynamics were average, which did not excite many drivers. Because of these issues, the Oldsmobile F85 struggled to meet the expectations of its buyers and was discontinued in 1963. Despite its initial promise, the F85 could not compete effectively in its market. Number 6. 1960 AMC Rambler. The AMC Rambler was a compact car produced from 1960 to 1969 by the American Motors Corporation. It was designed to be practical and economical, aiming to offer a reliable option for budget-conscious buyers. However, despite these good intentions, the Rambler struggled to win over both consumers and critics. One major issue was its bland styling. During the 1960s, car designs were becoming bold and innovative, but the Rambler stuck to a more conservative look. This plain appearance didn't capture the public's imagination and made it less appealing compared to more stylish competitors of the time. Another significant problem was the Rambler's lack of innovation. While other car makers were introducing exciting new technologies and features, the Rambler stayed largely the same throughout its production run. This lack of progress made it seem outdated and less competitive. Additionally, even though the Rambler was known for its fuel efficiency, it didn't offer the power and excitement that many drivers were looking for. This made it a less attractive choice for those who wanted a more dynamic driving experience. By 1969, the AMC Rambler was discontinued. At this point, it had been overshadowed by newer, more advanced models from larger manufacturers. Despite its practical aspects, the Rambler's shortcomings in style, innovation, and performance led to its decline in popularity and eventual end. Number 5. 1964 Plymouth Barracuda. The Plymouth Barracuda, first introduced in 1964, was an ambitious attempt by Plymouth to capture the muscle car market. Initially, the Barracuda showed promise with its unique design, featuring a wraparound rear window that set it apart from other cars of its time. This first-generation model was based on the Plymouth Valiant, aiming to blend style and performance. However, despite its distinctive look, it struggled to make a significant impact. The market was dominated by more powerful and stylish competitors like the Ford Mustang and Chevrolet Camaro. One major drawback of the Barracuda was its performance. Although it came with a range of engine options, including a V8, it never quite delivered the power and excitement that muscle car enthusiasts were seeking. This gap in performance made it less appealing to those looking for a thrilling driving experience. Furthermore, the Barracuda's design, heavily inspired by the Valiant, quickly became outdated. As other car manufacturers introduced more modern and aggressive designs, the Barracuda's conservative styling failed to keep up. In 1967, the second generation of the Barracuda was launched with hopes of improving both its design and performance. The new model featured a more aggressive look and better performance options. Despite these updates, it couldn't shake off the reputation of its less impressive predecessor. By 1969, when production of the Barracuda ended, it had been overshadowed by more successful and better performing models from other manufacturers. Number 4. 1960 Mercury Comet. The Mercury Comet was introduced by Mercury as a compact car from 1960 to 1963, aiming to capture a slice of the growing small car market. Initially just called the Comet, it was rebranded as the Mercury Comet in 1962. It was built on the same platform as the Ford Falcon, which meant it shared many design elements with its Ford counterpart. Despite its practical goals, the Comet struggled to leave a lasting mark. One major issue was its lack of standout features. During a time when car manufacturers were experimenting with bold designs and new technologies, the Comet's conservative look failed to make an impact. Its design was often considered bland compared to the more stylish and exciting models from other brands. This lack of visual appeal made it hard for the Comet to attract a dedicated following. Another problem was its performance. Although it offered a range of engine choices, including inline-6 and V8 engines, it never quite delivered the power or excitement that drivers wanted. This lackluster performance only added to its reputation as an easily forgettable car. By 1963, the Comet was discontinued, marking the end of its first generation. By then, it had been overshadowed by more innovative and attractive cars from other manufacturers. Number 3. 1960 Buick La Saber. The Buick La Saber, first introduced in 1960, had a rocky start. During its early years, from 1960 to 1969, it struggled to make a strong impact in the automotive world. When it was first released, the La Saber was criticized for its bland design and lackluster performance. Its early models featured a conservative look that failed to capture the excitement of car enthusiasts at the time. The car was equipped with a standard V8 engine, but it didn't offer the power or thrill that drivers expected from American cars of that era. The La Saber's design was seen as unremarkable and didn't stand out on the road, which was a significant drawback when car design was a major selling point. Its mediocre performance and uninspired look made the early La Saber models less appealing to buyers who had plenty of exciting alternatives to choose from. As the 1960s progressed, Buick attempted to improve the La Saber. The model underwent several redesigns in the mid-60s, which did help to enhance its appeal. However, these changes were not enough to completely shake off the negative reputation established by the earlier models. Even with these updates, the La Saber continued to be viewed as less desirable compared to its competitors. By 1969, Buick decided to discontinue the La Saber. Despite its shaky start, the model did eventually gain more respect in later years. However, the early 60s versions of the La Saber remain a reminder of a time when Buick struggled to make its mark in a competitive automotive market. Number 2. 1960 Chevrolet Biscan. The Chevrolet Biscan, manufactured from 1960 to 1969, was created to be a simple, budget-friendly car. Designed as a full-size vehicle, it aimed to be an affordable choice for families and businesses. However, it often didn't meet the expectations of many buyers. Its plain design and basic features made it less exciting compared to other Chevrolet models. Introduced in 1960, the Biscan featured a straightforward design that lacked the style and allure of more upscale models like the Chevrolet Impala. With only basic amenities, it didn't offer much in terms of comfort or luxury, which made it less appealing to those seeking more than just basic transportation. One of the major criticisms of the Biscan was its performance. The standard engine was a 6-cylinder, which provided enough power for daily driving, but wasn't particularly thrilling. Although there were options for a V8 engine, they didn't significantly enhance the car's overall charm. The Biscan was mainly viewed as a practical vehicle, suited for fleet use rather than individual enjoyment. Despite its limitations, the Biscan was produced until 1969. Throughout its production run, it saw some updates, but these changes weren't enough to alter its reputation as a no-frills utilitarian car. And at number 1, the 1958 Edsel. The Edsel, produced by Ford from 1958 to 1960, is often remembered as one of the biggest failures in car marketing history. Named after Edsel Ford, the son of Ford's founder, this car was designed to fill a gap in the mid-price market. Ford hoped it would become a popular choice for buyers looking for a stylish, affordable vehicle. However, the Edsel quickly became known for its poor planning and bad timing. The car was introduced with much excitement on September 4th of 1957, but it didn't live up to the hype. Ford had invested heavily in the Edsel, aiming to sell 200,000 units in the first year. Sadly, only around 68,000 units were sold, which was far below their target. The economic downturn of 1958 also hurt sales, as people were less willing to spend on new cars. Additionally, the Edsel faced problems with quality control. Many cars arrived at dealerships with defects that further damaged its reputation. Edsel's design was one of the main reasons it failed. It featured a distinctive horse-collar grille that many people found unattractive. This unusual look did not appeal to consumers, and the car struggled with poor sales from the beginning. By 1960, it was clear that the Edsel was a commercial disaster, and Ford decided to end production after just 3 model years. The company lost an estimated $250 million on the project, a huge loss at the time. Despite its failure, the Edsel is now seen as a unique piece of automotive history and is collected by enthusiasts who appreciate its unusual story. As we wrap up our look at the 13 worst American cars in the 1960s, it's clear why these models haven't stood the test of time. Which of these do you think deserves a title of the worst? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up, share it, and don't forget to subscribe for more automotive content.